No one noticed the change at first. The lake still looked green, still stretched wide under the blue sky, still reflected the trees like it always had. People said it was just algae, a natural thing. Every summer, the water turned a little strange. Every summer, the town ignored it. But this time, the green was different. Early one morning, Thomas, who had fished this lake since he was a boy, walked onto the wooden pier. The air smelled wrong, thick, bitter, the kind of smell that stayed in your throat. He paused, looking down at the water, and for the first time in 20 years, he felt uneasy. A dead fish floated past his boots. Then another. Then dozens more. Their silver bellies glistened under the sun, motionless, as if the lake had exhaled its last breath overnight. Thomas bent down and touched the water with his fingers. It felt warm, too warm. By noon, rumors spread through town. Dogs refused to drink from the shore. Children came home with rashes after swimming. Birds circled above the lake but never landed. Still, the officials said nothing. That afternoon, a woman in a purple suit arrived. Her name was Evelyn Moore, an environmental investigator sent after anonymous complaints kept flooding her inbox. She stood at the edge of the pier, eyes scanning the surface, her jaw tightening with every dead fish she counted. "This isn't natural," she whispered. She collected water samples in silence, careful, methodical. Each jar filled with green liquid that looked alive, but felt poisonous. As she worked, a police car stopped at the road nearby. The officer watched her, not interfering, not helping. A warning without words. Evelyn glanced back at the lake one last time before leaving. Something here was being hidden. That night, the lake went completely quiet. No frogs, no insects, no ripples, only the soft movement of dead fish drifting together, as if the water itself was trying to confess. And somewhere upstream, unseen and unnamed, the truth waited. Evelyn Moore didn't sleep that night. The jars of water sat on the motel desk like evidence from a crime scene. Under the dim lamp, the liquid glowed an unnatural green, thick and heavy, as if it resisted being contained. She had seen polluted rivers before, poisoned coastlines, dying wetlands, but this was different. This was fresh. At dawn, she drove upstream. The road narrowed as the trees grew denser, swallowing the sunlight. Old warning signs appeared, faded boards with words like private property and no trespassing, barely readable through rust and vines. Evelyn slowed the car. The lake was fed by a small river, forgotten by most people, ignored by maps, yet essential to everything downstream. The smell reached her before the water did. Sharp, chemical, metallic. She stepped out of the car and followed the sound of slow-moving water until she found it, the river, once clear, now stained with streaks of green and gray. Foam clung to the edges like dying breath. Her chest tightened. She knelt and took another sample. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You should leave." Evelyn looked around. No one. Another message followed. "This isn't your fight." She typed nothing back. Further upstream, hidden behind trees, stood the facility. It wasn't marked on any sign. No company logo. Just concrete walls, metal pipes, and a constant low hum. A drainage pipe extended from the back, dripping slowly into the river, drop by drop, poison by poison. Evelyn's hands trembled as she filmed it. Proof. Back in town, the damage had already deepened. Thomas stood on the pier again, holding a fish heavier than any he had caught before, but not because it was big. Because it was dead. The scales were discolored, the flesh soft. Around him, more fish floated than the day before. People gathered. Parents pulled their children back. Old men whispered prayers. Shop owners shut their doors. Then the patrol car arrived. The same officer stepped out, his face tight, eyes avoiding the water. "Ma'am," he said when Evelyn approached, "you're causing panic." She held up her phone. "This river feeds the lake. And something upstream is dumping chemicals into it. You know it." The officer didn't deny it. His silence said everything. Later that evening, Evelyn pinned her notes across the motel wall, maps, photos, lab results emailed from a colleague. The toxins weren't just harmful. They were illegal, carcinogenic, persistent, deadly. Her phone buzzed again. Final warning. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, and the first heavy drops of rain fell. The storm would wash even more poison into the lake by morning. Evelyn looked at the wall, then at the dark window. If she stayed quiet, the lake would die slowly. If she spoke, someone might try to stop her. She picked up her recorder and pressed on. "This is Evelyn Moore. If anything happens to me, the truth is on this tape." Outside, the lake waited. The storm didn't stop. Rain poured through the night, hammering the town like an accusation no one could escape. Water rushed down the roads, into drains, into the river, and straight into the lake. By morning, the green surface had thickened, turning almost fluorescent, like a warning sign written by nature itself. Evelyn arrived at the pier before sunrise. What she saw made her stomach turn. Thousands of fish floated now, not scattered, piled together, pushed by the wind as if the lake itself was trying to return the dead. The smell was unbearable. People stood far back, covering their mouths, eyes wide with fear. Thomas was there too. He hadn't slept either. He held no fishing rod this time, only anger. "They told us it was safe," he said, his voice breaking. "My kids drank this water." A crowd had formed. Whispers turned into questions. Questions turned into shouting. Shouting turned into demands. Then the police arrived. Not one car this time, 3. The same officer stepped forward, sweat visible on his forehead. "Everyone needs to leave the area," he announced. "This is now restricted." Evelyn stepped onto the pier. "No," she said calmly, but her voice carried. She held up printed lab reports, photos of the drainage pipe, timestamps, chemical names no one could pronounce but everyone understood meant danger. "This lake wasn't poisoned by nature," she said. "It was poisoned by people. And they hoped you'd never notice." Someone shouted, "Who did this?" Evelyn turned and pointed upstream. The officer's hand moved toward his radio. Too late. A local teenager had already gone live on his phone. The pier, the dead fish, the green water, Evelyn's words, all of it streamed straight onto the internet. Within minutes, the town wasn't alone anymore. Reporters arrived. Environmental groups shared the footage. Hashtags spread faster than the poison ever had. The facility upstream tried to shut down quietly that afternoon. But silence no longer worked. Authorities sealed off the site. Hazmat teams moved in. Officials who once said, "Don't worry," suddenly refused to answer questions. Statements were issued. Blame shifted. Excuses collapsed. And the officer, he stood beside Evelyn now, staring at the lake he had sworn to protect. "I should have spoken sooner," he said quietly. Evelyn didn't argue. Some apologies come too late, but truth still matters. As the sun set, the lake reflected red and gold across its poisoned surface. It was wounded, not yet gone. Recovery would take years. Some damage would never be undone. But the silence was broken. The lake had finally been heard. And everyone watching, from this town to the rest of the world, understood one thing clearly. If water can be poisoned in secret, then silence is the most dangerous toxin of all. Months passed. The lake was no longer green. Barriers surrounded it now. Warning signs stood where picnic tables once were. Scientists arrived with boats and equipment, taking samples, planting hope in small, careful steps. The poison was being removed, but the memory of it remained. Thomas found a new routine. Every morning, he walked to the pier, not to fish, but to watch. The water was quieter than before, yet slowly, signs of life returned. One morning, he saw a single ripple. Then another. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Evelyn stayed longer than planned. She helped the town file lawsuits, forced transparency, and ensured the facility upstream was permanently shut down. The company paid fines, but no amount of money could buy back the years of health, trust, and life they had stolen. One evening, a child asked her, "Will the lake ever forget?" Evelyn looked at the water, reflecting the sky. "No," she said softly. "But forgetting isn't healing. Remembering is." The officer who once stayed silent now spoke at town meetings, warning others about the cost of obedience without conscience. The town learned something painful, but necessary. Nature can survive many wounds. But it cannot survive lies forever. Slowly, birds returned. Plants grew along the shore. Life pushed back, not because humans were powerful, but because they finally stopped pretending nothing was wrong. The lake was changed. So were the people. Moral: silence protects the destroyer, not the victim.